Hey guys, this is Todd with COSN. I'm here with Casey from Coyote Works, and we just got done on a kind of a mock bug out to the desert, and mainly we do that kind of stuff just to kind of test our gear. Of course, I didn't know prior to. Casey basically said, hey, let's go out. We arranged the time, and he didn't really tell me what we were doing or where we were going, which is excellent for me because I can see the deficiencies in my gear when I get out here. And I did have a few, and I won't go over those. I'll go over those in a probably different video. But the reason why I want to shoot this is because I've been doing a lot of talking with Casey, and Casey has done a lot of time out here in the high desert. And you know, there's a lot of things that people don't think about as far as food sources and water sources that the desert can provide. And I'm just going to do a quick interview with Casey and ask him about some of his extended desert living system that he's been working on, and some of the background or his perspective on why use the desert for a bug out location. So we'll just kind of start with that, and I'll turn it over to Casey, and he can kind of explain a little bit about the desert and why he chooses that for a bug out location.
So there's a couple of reasons, but one of the first reasons is because I grew up in the backcountry in the desert, so it's a really comfortable environment to me. It's the kind of environment that I've been camping in and spending time outdoors in since I was really young, like 7, 8 years old. So I always had an attraction for it. And then as I started getting more into thinking about, you know, bugging out, going to the wilderness type of a scenario, the desert was really appealing to me because it's some of the lowest population density areas of our state. And to most people, they look at the country and it seems really sparse. It seems really devoid of water and life and game and all those things. But when you understand the desert environment, there are resources available. Now, granted, they're not as plentiful as a forest environment, but they are here, and their patterns are a little bit different. The animals' patterns are a little bit different. The growing seasons on edibles and plants are a little bit different. They're fewer and farther between. The materials that you use to make shelter are different.
And that's actually a really good point. I want to stop you there, but when you talk about materials, especially in the high desert, pretty much the only wood you have to work with is juniper, right?
Yeah. That's right. And juniper has the deficiencies of juniper, or the fact that from the standpoint of building any kind of structures or shelter, it's finding a straight piece of juniper is like a snowball's chance in hell.
Right? But, yeah, I totally agree with that. Even, you know, I haven't been extensive like Casey here about going out in the desert and you know, building and setting up shelters. I have, but not definitely as long as this guy has in practice. And I can tell you, you know, using that one source of wood, there's some benefits to it, and there's definitely some drawbacks.
Yeah, it definitely does burn hotter and longer than the real softwoods like the pines and the firs that we have up in the mountains around here. But so it makes a nice bed of coals. It's nice to cook off of and everything. But from the standpoint of making shelter, the foliage on the juniper trees is not dense. It's not easy to make bedding with. It's not easy to make a efficient wind and weather break for a shelter.
Right. And you know, and on that same subject, you know, we've talked several times about, and I'm sure you guys heard that, you know, in a bug out scenario, some of these hunters out there, you know, they don't prepare. They're like, hey, I'm just going to head to the woods. I'm going to hunt for some game. And most of the time that's in a wilderness type environment, not a high desert type environment. And I think that's where Casey's got a really good point. If you know how to survive in the desert, that could be an optimal location to actually go out and do that, and you won't have, you know, a populace anyway. I mean, we came out here, it's about a two-hour drive, and we didn't see one vehicle. We didn't see anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how desolate it is, but yet there's wildlife. On the way up here, we ran into snakes, we ran into geese, we ran into a pronghorn, we ran into 2 deer. I mean,
yeah, the game is here. It's plentiful, and their patterns are a little bit different. More of the game is more nocturnal. In the hot, dry desert, more of the animals are geared towards conserving water, conserving energy. They lay low during the day, so you can walk miles across the desert and not see anything move during the day. But you hit when there's no moon, when there's overcast evenings, that'll push animals out moving a little bit more during the day, and so you just adapt to that. But if you know those things, to me, it makes good sense because of that skill set that I have, because of that comfort level that I have. It makes good sense as a bug out scenario for the main purpose of avoiding people, of getting into country that I think most people just aren't attracted to go to. They don't think of it as a resource rich environment.
And on when you were talking about, you know, knowing about it, you've actually created kind of an extended desert living system. Is that correct?
Yeah. So my version of a bug out pack or an inch pack, which is evolving, you know, I'm improving it and working on it all the time, but basically it's a system designed specifically for surviving for an extended period of time in a desert environment.
Nice.
And so that being the case, at the water carrying capacity of it, the tools that are in it, all of those things are kind of geared.
And you have a video on your channel of that, right? You actually just did one so you can update that.
Yeah, I did one last April. There's an April pack contents video, and then there will be another one after this trip. I'll post it up.
Nice. So anyway, so I just kind of want to go over that with Casey, because he has some really good points about the high desert, and he's been out here for a long time. And if you haven't seen his channel, he's got a great channel. Go over there and visit it. You can see his, you know, his desert extended living system. You can see what's in his pack, and you can kind of get a good idea of how his setup goes off of his channel. So if you get a chance, go see his channel and check it out. Do you have anything else, Casey?
No, it's been great. You'll see plenty of videos of Todd and I out in the desert and in the woods together. We do a lot of trips together, so it's been good. With Todd's SAR background and his military experience, there's a lot of things that I've been able to learn from him that have really helped kind of round out my skill set. And I think that's, if there's one more point I would make, it's just that, you know, never stop learning. Put yourself around people that have strengths where you have weaknesses.
And admit your weaknesses.
Be willing to admit, here's where I don't know stuff and I need to learn stuff.
Exactly. And we complement each other really well. We talked about it actually on this trip. It just came up, and we talked about our weaknesses and our strengths, and we actually, right where we're weak, he's strong, and it kind of goes back and forth. So it's going to be good going on in the future with Casey and learning, and, you know, it's like continually learning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Lifelong learning process.
Well, thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it. Because I just like doing really short ones, you know?
Short what?
Short Asians.